Okay guys, so today we'll be doing a sequence and series. So they say the first four terms of a quadratic number pattern are negative 7, 0, 9, 20. They say 3.1.1 says determine a formula to represent the general term of the pattern. Okay, so let's get started with this. Let's go 3.1.1. Okay, so we need to know that a quadratic formula is Tn is equal to an squared plus bn plus c. A is half of the second difference. B is a constant. And C is also a constant. Okay, so our question said that we have a sequence where it's negative 7, 0, 9, 20. Let me just check. Okay, let me just check. Yeah. Okay. So our first step is to find the first difference. Okay, between 0 minus negative 7 will give me positive 7, 9 minus 0 will give me 9, and 20 minus 9 will give me 11. So my first difference as we can see, our first difference forms a pattern. And now we go to our second difference. 11 minus 9 gives me 2, and 9 minus 7 gives me 2. So we have to remember, in a quadratic sequence, our second difference is always a constant number. So in this case, our constant number is 2. Right. So we saw that A for quadratic and a quadratic sequence, A is half of the second difference. Therefore, in our original sequence, A would be half the second difference. In this case is 2. So we solve for A. We know A is equal to 1. Okay, so to get B and C, I will use substitution. So we'll substitute the fact that T1 is equal to negative 7, and we'll use T2, which is equal to 0. T2 is equal to 0. So for T1 is equal to negative 7, wherever I have n, we'll substitute 1. So the general formula is, remember our general formula is Tn is equal to an squared plus bn plus c. If we go here now, we have, let me just write out the formula again. Tn is equal to an squared plus bn plus c. Therefore, if we substitute T1, we'd have negative 7 is equal to A, which we know is 1, times wherever we have n, we substitute 1 because it's T1, 1 squared plus B times 1 plus C. Okay, so this is 1 plus B plus C is equal to negative 7. Negative 7, therefore If I simplify, c would be equal to, take it over, -8 minus b. That will be my first equation. Now, if I look at T2, I would have T2 is 0. A is 1. 1 times 2 squared plus 2 times b plus c. If I simplify this, I get, let me just put a line here. I get 4 plus 2b plus c is equal to 0. Therefore, I'll substitute c. We had an expression for c which is 8 minus -8 minus b. So we'll go 0 is equal to 4 plus 2b plus c, which is -8 minus b. Will give us 4 plus 2b minus 8 minus b. If we simplify this, -4 plus -4 plus b is equal to 0. Therefore, b is equal to 4. So we found b. We know a, which is 1. We found a. And now we just substitute in this equation to get c. So we know c is equal to -8 minus b, which is 4. Therefore, c is equal to -12. Okay, so we know a is 1, we know b is 4, and we know c is equal to -12. Therefore, our quadratic equation is equal to Tn is equal to a, which is 1, n squared plus bn 4n, and our minus plus c, our constant is c, minus 12. So there we finally have an expression. Okay, so they say which term of the pattern has a value of 128. 128. Okay. So they say Tn equals to 128. N is equal to what? So now we solve this is, we know our expression is Tn is equal to n squared plus 4n minus 12. We know n squared plus 4n minus 12. Therefore, which term is going to give us, which position n is going to give us 128. So we equate 128 to the equation n squared plus 4n minus 12. So now we can take, now we solve this as a normal quadratic equation. 0 is equal to n squared plus 4n. We take we take 128 over, so we'll get -140. Okay. Factors are n minus 10, n plus 14. Therefore, n is equal to 10 or n is equal to -14. -14 cannot be valid, does not apply. So yeah, n can't be equal to a negative number, so we know, we scratch that out. Therefore, n is equal to 10. Okay, so they say 3.1.3, determine between which successive terms in the quadratic number pattern will the first difference be 599. Okay, if we now look at our first difference, so in a quadratic sequence, our first differences also makes a pattern, which is a general linear pattern. So if I look at our first difference pattern, is 7, 9, 11. Okay, let's write it down, 7, 9, 11. So now what we do is we find a linear equation or a linear sequence for this first difference pattern, and then we see which term would equal 599. So if I look at the difference, we know the difference is 2. So for the general equation, the general formula for a linear pattern would be Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 plus D. In our linear pattern, A is the first number and D is our constant difference. So our first number would be 7 plus n minus 1 multiplied by D. D is our constant difference, which is 2. If I multiply out 7 plus 2n minus 2, therefore Tn would equal 2n, 7 minus 2 plus 5. So now we have a general formula for our first difference. Let's just go back to the question. Determine between which successive terms in the quadratic number pattern will the first difference be 599. What we do now is we equate 599 to our general formula for our first difference, Tn plus 5. And so we know 594 2n, therefore n is equal to 297. So the difference will be between this number, this term, 297, and the following number. So the difference will be between 297 and 298.